Okay, Nuria, your solo monologues have started turning up, and I think there's another one coming out. Now, you always learn something new. Last video, 3 major red flags of Islam. Wonderful video. You've had wonderful reception.
So yeah, guys, if you have not checked out my video already, please do. 3 major red flags in the Quran. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it as well, but I am working on another solo video which should come out hopefully this week. So there again, this was something that I really believed when I was a Muslim woman, and I don't want to give away too much because we are going to cover one of the hadiths which I was like, oh my god, this is so bad. And you know that all of my videos have an element of women's rights associated with them. So in this video, again, I'm just comparing texts that Muslims show us and the text that I actually read as a Muslim woman and I fully believed. And only when I looked into Islam, I went into the history and the real sources, and it said something completely different. But all in all, it leads to the fact that in Islam, a woman is basically like a prisoner, and they don't shy away from saying that themselves. When Horace comes back, we'll share the hadith as well. But literally, the status of women is nothing more than a glorified prisoner in their own words, or basically like a domestic animal. So yeah, that video will be coming out this week. Keep an eye on it for sure. First
of all, I want to talk about, so your solo videos, people always prefer them. And those of you who are not on Nuria's channel, I think you should definitely check it out. For example, the last one was this one. Is the Quran perfect? 3 major red flags. 5.5K views. I think a lot of people liked it, and it was a very good, well-researched documentary length, 43-minute long. You covered all 3 parts. Muhammad making up verses, the story of Sa'd ibn Sarah, Umar, and what was the first one? There was
Satanic verses.
Satanic verses. There you go. So you spoke about all of them, well-researched, 3 example, perfect method how you did it. And you know, a lot of these people, you know, they loved your content. So that's very good. And now what that tells us is that people like your well-researched AP style monologues, you know, like, and there's another video coming out. Now that one, when you were just telling me yesterday about, I wasn't fully aware of that. How Muslims spread this, they propagate this idea of feminism through Islam, where they deliberately fabricate their own hadiths, and they use softer words themselves. And they say, well, that was that's what Muhammad meant. Really, if he meant that, then he was he couldn't. So Joe Rogan can say the same thing. Oh no, I just meant black people, but I just use the N word. So words matter, yeah.
Yeah, massively.
So this guy, so there are these hadiths, for example. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it, where there's how they deliberately lie and they misguide people, and then there's Western feminists that fall for it. They're like, oh, Islam is so beautiful, yes. What was that hadith? And I'll share that with you as well, how they first presented.
Yeah, sure. But you know, when you just said words matter, I just want to emphasize the fact that words matter so much in this instance when you talk about Islam, because these are words forever. These are the final words from God to his people. So of course they freaking matter. It's not like an English essay you're writing and, you know, you could have used a different word. This is the final message to humanity. But as Horace was saying, like every time I go into these texts, I obviously am kind of looking for an angle always to prove Islam and feminism can't go hand in hand, because you have to constantly tell, especially Western feminists, that what I'm saying isn't just me like saying this goes all the way back to scripture. But because they're fed such whitewashed, sanitized versions, those are the only versions that they're usually privy to. And I do want to say this, and I will make this point in my video as well, that this is through no fault of their own. When I was a Muslim woman, I read the exact same version that Muslims presented to me, and I bought it and I believed it. And I was comforted by it, and I was happy to know that that was my status within Islam, and these were the departing words of the messenger that he left for me. But the reality, as Horace said, is far from the truth. So no matter how many brackets they try and add, forget even brackets, they've been doing that with the Quran in these Islamic websites, what they've put on there, and then what we see in the hadith, it is a complete eradication of that word and replacing it something far softer. So in this hadith that we're going to show, it literally says, treat women well, for they are like prisoners with you. But when you go to the Islamic websites, it actually has the audacity to call us partners and committed helpers. Where they've got that from, I have no idea, because I'm only showing you the hadith, but I'll show you in my video where this hadith comes from and everything that backs it up.
It's the final speech. It's the final speech of the Prophet. So Muslims use that a lot, and I've heard that as well, but I never got to believe, like even someone like me who tries to find holes in Islam. I didn't actually know of this. In common language, we've heard this argument. They say Prophet Muhammad cared about women so much that on his deathbed, he said three things. One, two, I forgot what the other, but one of them were slaves. I think slaves as well, and women.
No, one of them was so important, Horace. It's like he abolished interest. Usury is forbidden now. Oh, yes. Thank you.
I'm sure.
Prophet.
And I've heard different accounts on that as well. The other three, sometimes the other three things as well. One of those three things was like expel all the Jews and Christians. He also said that on his deathbed.
Yeah. The final message is that all Muslims are brothers and usury is abolished, and also women are like prisoners for you. But no, not what. And the reason I think the reason that you never came across it as well, the only reason I came across it is because we know how little there is in Islam for women to grasp anyway. It's like where are we kind of given what's the word for qadr in English? Like where are we given importance
Destiny.
And credence? So they would always tell us that Muhammad in his final khutbah in Arabic, like in his final sermon, as Hara said, on his deathbed almost, one of the last things he uttered was to treat women well. But in reality, this is what's happening. Should we read this hadith?
Yeah, so he says that, so on his farewell pilgrimage, messenger of Allah, glory to Allah, blah, 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 his shit doesn't smell, sweat was used as perfume, blah, blah, blah. Then he said, I enjoin good treatment of women, for they are prisoners with you.
Ain't
for they are
the truth?
Prisoners with you, and you have no right to treat them otherwise. Oh, you know what that means? You have no right to treat them otherwise, meaning no right to treat them as free people.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless they commit. No, I'm joking. I think they meant
even more.
I think they meant otherwise. I think
this is actually the line that you've just tried to mock is actually the nicest thing he left in there. Okay, so leave that line alone.
You have no right to treat them otherwise, unless they commit clear indecency. So that's all it is. It's not about unless they earn more money than you, unless they talk back to you. No, unless indecency. Like
and
sex,
that's also links back to Quran 434, right? Where the indecency is, if you fear anything, beat them. So
what do you mean by unless they?
Is just echoing.
And this is obviously an instruction. This is not. There's another part of it. This is not an instruction to the state. Yeah, it's an instruction to husbands who have their wives, because obviously, Muslim men enjoying good treatment of women. For they are prisoners with you, and you have no right to treat them otherwise, meaning you should always treat them well, unless they commit clear indecency. So unless they do something wrong, then you husbands can, then you can't have an ill treatment of them.
Can we just say, let's just get one thing clear, okay? First and foremost, it's saying that treat women well because they're like prisoners with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And don't do anything. No need to put them in solitary confinement per se or beat them yet. Okay. You treat them as you would a normal prisoner whose control you have, who's under your control and is being a good prisoner. They're not answering back. They're not messing around. They're not trying to escape. But as soon as you fear indecency, and that is the broadest term known to man, we've seen how that, I mean, even just what happened to me with Taz Zawjiyya, that comes under indecency, right? Disobedience, anything. Yeah. So that's really broad. That's where we see all the problems with Sharia. And then it goes on to say, you have no right to treat them otherwise unless they commit clear indecency. If they do that, then forsake them in their beds. This is completely echoing Quran 434. And hit them, but without causing injury or leaving a mark. Why, thank you, Muhammad. How very
That's what they say. Oh, that's what they say. Not hard hitting.
Yeah. Tap, tap, tap.
No, and it's not tap, tap. It's obviously tap, tap doesn't do anything. Clearly here, this is being used as a source, as a method for physically disciplining them. Tap tap is not, that would be just an insult. I would say that's still humiliating.
It's just very demeaning in itself.
Yeah, it's just demeaning, but it's not physically.
They're not going to change their ways with tap tap tap, which is what you want. Yeah. You want them to be obedient again. Basically, that's the end result. So if they obey you, then do not seek means of annoyance against them. Okay, this is where Islam tells us what rights women have, yeah? So obviously we know that men, you have rights over your women and your women have rights over you. Your rights over your women are that they are not to allow anyone who you dislike to tread on your bedding, furniture. Really trying to keep it together there.
Furniture, so yeah, you know, like we know when the husband... We know what you do on the couch and the dining table.
Not even that, Horace. Imagine my friends are over and one of them's sitting on the sofa, but that happens to be your sofa, and you were like, "Get Jackie off that sofa!" Boom, smack me around the room. Anyway, yeah, your rights over your women are that they are not to allow anyone who you dislike to tread on your bedding, furniture, nor allow anyone who you dislike to enter your houses. Flipping neck. No one that Muhammad doesn't like, or your husband doesn't like, can ever come over. Anyway, this is where I'm like,
this is Sunan Ibn Majah 1851.
Yes, yeah. Here's the last line. It's the most important.
Oh, sorry, I thought you read that.
This is where it's the most bleak thing for women. Look at the rights that women have. I mean, it was a good time to cut it because we have none. And their rights over you are that you should treat them kindly with regard to their clothing and food. So I mean, if you have a pet, basically the exact same standards you'd apply to your pet or to a prisoner. I'm not even going to say glorified prisoner, but to a prisoner. Basic things, food and clothing, and I guess shelter because they're your prisoner, right? So that when feminists talk about rights in Islam, there you have it.
It's like my Charlie. Look at him.
Oh, it's a little foxy. So cute. I was looking at you like, why are you doing this to me, mate? Why are you
he's in the spotlight. So he's exactly. So you know, like now they're giving you something. You know, now what you have to do is
Charlie,
make sure that
me and you have the same rights in Islam, buddy.
Yeah, Charlie. I don't know if you've been upgraded or they've been downgraded.
I'm gonna argue we've been downgraded. Sorry, Charlie.
Yeah, so it's so bad. Literally, I mean, this is why we say it's so outdated ideology that it really sees women as sex objects. Their role is to make babies, fulfill your sexual desires. And in return, you got to give them food and clothing, as if it doesn't include anything else. What about her makeup? What about buying her a nice car? So she can. Oh no, that can't happen.
What about like just emotional support? Like be a team. Like emotional support. Like just normal psychological needs. There's so much missing. Anyway, I go into full detail in my video and I actually slate it because it does mention other things like, you know, we've given women to you like by the command of Allah for the enjoyment of their persons. Literally, like we are pieces of meat for men to enjoy and own and then literally give us food and clothing, and we should be happy with that. And then you've got the Quran which says stay at home, stay in your houses, and it's just bad. Bleak picture. Anyway, that's enough of a trailer for that video.
That's why every man wants to be a Muslim.
And you, mate, did the opposite and left all that.
Because I think you could do that all. I find it more pleasurable when my opposite is enjoying it too. You know. Okay, so guys, this is it. So do check out Nuria's channel, Holy Humanist. Subscribe, and I think the solo video is going to go up. What, tomorrow maybe, or the day after tomorrow maybe?
Inshallah, my friends.
Yeah, Insha Science. It'll go up tomorrow. I think it's a lot more in detail. Nuria did go further into as the other hadiths in which it's literally compared with animals.
Yeah,
in Tabri and Ibn Shaq. So they're all quoting Muhammad, and some places the words used is prisoners, some places the words used are like animals. Yeah, but the modern website says treat women nicely. Prophet Muhammad said it in his final speech. That's what they leave out the prisoners and the animals bit. So,
do you know what's really interesting as well? Oh, I'm giving away too much, but like the language that's used in the original sources. Also, now what you see in the Islamic websites, they just say like blacks don't have any superiority to Muslims or whites or whatever. But back in the day, they didn't even have they'd never called them blacks or whites. You know what I mean? So blacks were actually called like abd, which actually means slave. So I'm going to obviously focus on that as well, which just shows you the discrepancy.
Black was actually synonymous with the word slave.
Slave, yes, it was. In 7th century Arabia, yeah.
There are some. I've never really gone too hard because I'm always trying to give them a bit of benefit of the doubt, and I say, your slavery obviously is bad in Islam, but racism might not have been as bad as it was in other cultures. But this is again, I'm stretching and I'm being overly charitable to them, that okay, there are not that many, but there are some hadith. Black raisin, even his head looks like a black raisin. Devil is black in color with glowing eyes, black skin color. Follow your leader, even if he is as a black raisin. Prophet Muhammad was not black, and there was so much emphasis on he was a white boy wannabe. Ali Dawah calls me white boy wannabe. Mate, your prophet was a white boy wannabe. Where's that hadith where I shared? Anyone who says that there was a later fatwa given, anyone who says okay, fill in the blanks. Anyone who has left Islam, kill him. Yeah, that's the common hadith, most famous one. But there's another hadith as well. This is no, it's not a hadith. It's a fatwa issued by anyone who says Prophet was a black man. Kill him. That's how much they hated it. So yeah. Anyway,
if you like these videos and want to support me in my activism, then you can support me on Patreon or PayPal. Stay free, everyone.